Oregon star Nate Bittle will withdraw from the 2025 NBA draft and return to school next season, average 14.2 points per game, 7.6 rebounds per game. That via John Rothstein. Huge news for the Oregon Ducks. We saw this in football. It seems like we're seeing this in basketball, except for a couple of key places. Obviously, the Ace Baileys, the Cooper Flags of the world are going to go pro. More guys who are on the bubble of being that late first or even second round pick are going back to school because they're getting paid a pretty good amount of money. So they're not missing out. They're not starting that payment clock later in their life cycle. They're getting it now. And I think it's making both the college football landscape and the college basketball landscape a little bit richer.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting. We've talked about the NIL implication, just kind of what it's done to college football. You know, you had the number one recruit in the country all of a sudden end up in Miami a couple weeks ago. It was like, interesting. Wonder what happened there. Money got right. But where the money gets crazy is on the basketball side, because there's less of the guys at the very top. You know, you can talk about Bryce Underwood going to Michigan and getting $8 million. That's great. He got $8 million for 4 years. When you're talking about top 10 recruits or guys that are leaving the NBA and coming back to college, Boogie Flan got $3 million to go to Florida for a year.
Well, we've seen this in the NBA. A one-star impact is much greater when there's 10 people on the playing surface than when there's 22.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the math, folks. The other big thing that I've noticed from years of covering the Nike Hoop Summit is that a lot of the top tier guys, they are 1 year away, not from 1.5 million, but I mean the top tier.
Yeah, you're talking about the Cooper Flags, the AJ DeBonsas, like the guys you know are going to be top 5 picks.
They were at the time 9 months away from the multi-million-dollar shoe deal and a pretty good size NBA contract from the jump. And when you only have to, as a handler, as a parent trying to make sure your kid's okay, when you're only handling a runway of 9 months to multi-millions versus in football, it's 3 years. And even in the NIL, when you get paid, it's still 3 years till the big money arrives. In the NBA, it's 1. So it's much more structured, it's much more business-oriented, and there's a lot more on the line. So if you want to bring one of those guys in, stakes are higher, you're paying more.
And when you talk about the top in college basketball, because you don't have 100 guys on your roster that you, like, and again, not all 100 are getting paid, but you have to take care of a quarterback. You have to take care of your left tackle. You have to take care of your DB. You have to take care of your wide receiver. You have to take care of your running back. You have to take care of this.
Yeah.
When you're in basketball, you take care of your top 3.
Right.
They're really taken care of. Now, the other guys are getting money. Don't get it twisted. Like, Alex Caravan is going back to UConn again. And I heard he got $3 million to go back to UConn.
Good for him.
That's
awesome.
That's crazy money. Like, AJ DeBonsa to go to BYU. I've heard $8 million for a year. And so you're talking about the guys like now Oregon's interesting because everybody talks about the unlimited NIL and how Dusty plays that down a lot. And I've talked to a lot of guys at Oregon. And I'm like, look, man, like, yeah, we have Phil, but Phil doesn't really contribute to the Oregon like you think he does. It's more facilities and buildings and all that kind of stuff.
Here's my thing, hands on it. I don't think Phil gives the most money to Oregon. The other thing I would say, and I think the piece people miss is, and we've seen this across the landscape, we've seen kids get mad about their money and transfer. We've seen kids decommit and say, well, I agreed to $2.5 million. When I got the paperwork, it's actually 1.7. I think the biggest area, potentially, that Phil Knight helped Oregon was, you know how to structure contracts with athletes? You don't, because you've never done it?
We do.
Nike does. Here's the format, so that we don't have the messiness. We don't have the Rashada.
Or what was the quarterback at UNLV where that whole nightmare fuel got...
yeah. He asked for an extra $1 million at the... That's not how it works. There's a structure in place. There's something in place. I also happen to think Oregon is not number 1 in football. In fact, I kind of know they're not number 1. But they are very competitive.
Yeah, again, but on the basketball side, Oregon has missed drastically with basically every 5-star they've ever had.
Hey. Malik Harrison with the Spur.
Basically every 5-star that's come through Oregon has been a monumental bust. And I don't...
And by the way, it's like 0 for 8.
And I don't.
It's a long
that's not an
list.
Oregon thing. That is, it feels like where there's not a disconnect between Dan Lanning and the recruiting and the finances and everything. I think there's a disconnect between Dana Altman and what the organization wants and what the school wants the basketball program to be. Whereas Dana Altman is his best when he gets the 3, maybe a 4-star, but chip on your shoulder guy. He reminds me of Tom Crean at Marquette, who won like or hell, Kelvin Sampson at Houston. Like, he's just now, like, what makes Houston terrifying is their team is coming back and they have a top 10 recruit in Senac joining them, who was just at the Hoop Summit. Right. Like, all of a sudden now it's like, oh God, there's real talent there now. That's terrifying. Dana Altman is like, he gets Nate Bittle from Central Point.
But Nate Bittle was a borderline 5-star recruit.
But he's not the guy.
No. But that also, I think, factors in with the hit rate. Mm-hmm. If I'm playing devil's advocate to your point, I'm saying Oregon's never landed 1, 2, or 3.
No.
Ever. They've never landed a 1, 2, or 3. The Cooper Flag guy, the Zion Williams, they've never landed that guy. No. They've landed guy number 18. Go look at the history of how guy 5-star 17, 18, you said the draft is a short list. Mm-hmm. You get to like 4 or 5 in a good draft, and you're kind of like, he could be a rotation.
Go look at those high school top 100 lists.
He could be a rotation
and you're
piece.
Like, ooh.
So if you're getting guys 17, 18, 19, and by the way, especially early, you're kind of taking flyers on guys that Kentucky, Duke have crossed off.
Yeah.
You're taking flyers. So your hit rate's going to be less than I got John Wall and Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
It's going to be less.
And here's the thing.
However, you still have to deliver on those guys with some wins. And some NBA contracts.
And Dana's been very good with those the lessers. They're, again, good players, but they aren't the top billing guys.
Dylan Brooks,
yes,
Tyler Dorsey, Peyton Pritchard, all top 100 guys. Mm-hmm. None of them just a bona fide 5-star.
Exactly. And Bittle was a guy. Some publication the other day had Nate Bittle going in the first round. I'm like, he's not even going to get drafted. And it's like, guys, please don't do this. But it doesn't mean Bittle's bad. Like, I know scouts in the league are like, look, man, he's 7 foot tall. He can knock down threes and he can block shots. Like, he's gonna, like, I've brought this up God knows how many times. Do you know what the hit rate is if you're a 7 foot tall male of making the NBA?
Isn't it like 9 to 10% of all humans on Earth?
18%.
18. That's
18% of all 7 foot males will get an opportunity in the NBA because it's a scarcity.
And you're not saying of guys who played in college. It's literally
on the planet.
You're 7 feet tall. 18% chance you're a hooper.
Because if you're 7 foot tall, you're in like the 0.001% of humans on the planet. And so they're going to give you a chance. Like, does that mean you're going to be in the NBA? No. But does it mean you're going to get a look? Yeah, you're going to get a training camp deal. You're going to have an opportunity in the G League. Like, you're going to get a look because it's such a rare thing. But with Bittle, I think going back, go get some money. Good for you. I got nothing against the kid. I think he has a chance to get, like, let's say he goes out and he picks up where he left off at Oregon, which he closed the season incredibly well. I went to that Oregon-Rutgers game.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
He was a monster. And I was like, I could see him on the back end. Like, if you told me he was like Jay Huff, like, not as explosive as Jay Huff, who plays for the Grizzlies, but he's a shot blocking, balding white guy.
What if he's just a longer Drew Eubanks?
Fine.
What if he's just?
Different games, but like
different games.
If you're the third big man, look, man, you could go making $2 million a year to play basketball and play 10 minutes a night is a hell of a living.
Yeah, he's going to play more minutes at Oregon, but he might get that $2 million.
Yeah, but like it's really interesting. Why this is breaking news is. Here in just a little bit, it's the deadline withdrawal date for the NBA draft because we're less than a month away. We've already seen some bigger names returning to school. Todd Pettiford went back to Auburn. Boogie Flan transferred from Arkansas to Florida to that absolute demon.
You want to talk about a team that could go back to back?
Oh God,
that Florida team.
Alex Condon's coming back.
Stacked.
Yeah, I mean they brought in. The point guard from Princeton, Xavier Lee, like they are just loaded to the gills. But you look at college basketball, I genuinely believe that NIL is going to do wonders, not just for college basketball. College basketball last year was great.
Yes.
It was genuinely great.
Well, four of the best teams in the last 20 years came from the Final Four of this group. And because guys are going back because they're getting paid.
Depth, experience, opportunity. And like the fact that it was never going to happen, but the fact that it was a discussion, that it was a 1% chance of happening, that Cooper Flag could go back.
He wasn't going back.
But no, I was sitting at a table before a Blazers game with it was me and a bunch of scouts and pro personnel directors from another team,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about Cooper and kind of where he was as a player and kind of projecting him. And one of them brought up when was the last time in college basketball that the best player came back to college? The best player in the country came back to college. And I started kind of racking my head.
Edey.
But he wasn't like
No, he
was
won player of the,
great.
he won player of the year.
But he
you're
wasn't the
right.
best
He
player.
wasn't actually the best player.
It was JJ Redick.
Yeah.
JJ Redick was the last player
Because
who
he was great
like,
as a sophomore at Duke.
It-
and he was good as a freshman. He was elite as
he
a sophomore.
played all 4
Yeah,
years
yeah.
at Duke.
Yeah.
In his junior year, he was a first-team All-American. I think he averaged like a 19 or 20 a game.
Yeah.
I mean, synonymous with like he was the best player in the country. And I think it was 05, 06 that he came back. That's the last time that like the legit best player in the country came back. And it was like somebody goes, I've heard that Cooper could get upwards of $20 million to come back.
Can you imagine?
Because Duke probably pays him 10 because they'll make that back in spades, and it's private school. You don't have to care about it. It's whatever. But New Balance is going to chip in probably another $5 million. Even though he's wearing Nikes, he's going to wear New Balance everywhere else and be in all the ads,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. And then whatever other NIL deal to make up the other $5. Like that was like a feasible thing. Like it was very unlikely. But the fact
that it even is a discussion
is so different from the last 20 years.
Massive evolution for basketball. And I think more than that, and that's a good point. I think more than that, players 4 through 25.
Mm-hmm.
That player who's like, yeah, I'd probably go like 8th or 9th because I'm limited athletically, but I'm a great player.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's coming back. And that's maybe 15 guys
from
the first round potentially. That matters.
I mean, guy that might have gone at the end of the lottery. So the highest I've heard of go was like 15, 16, 17.
Right.
Is Yaxel Lindenberg. He's going back to Michigan.
That's huge.
He got I think he got $3 million to go to Michigan, 3 or 4 to go to Michigan. And he was a guy I know a lot of people were like, I could see him as low as like 23, 24, as high as 15, 16. But like, if he goes back, he's a quote unquote year older. But I'm telling you right now, NBA coaches don't want kids.
Right.
Unless the kid is Victor Wembanyama, unless the kid is Cooper Flagg, they don't want to develop guys.
Because of IQ and feel. Going back to the point we had, it matters for MVP level players. Yep. It matters for your 8th guy. If you have IQ and feel in the NBA,
and you develop
you do
that
infinitely better because you're prepared mentally to make the strides and make the progress.
Look at Tumani. Look at Tumani. It's a perfect
second team defense.
Yeah, it's a perfect example. He plays 4 years in college, and he just because he had different roles. This is a guy who played with Ant Edwards.
Yeah,
that stuff just matters, man.
Next up,